a fantastic place to work because everybody in the area knew everybody.
The women had 90% of the factory, and when I worked there, in the early 50s, there was around 2,000 workers there. You can imagine the place like.
The atmosphere was terrific. There were families of people lived there, worked there, virtually lived there almost, you could say.
Well, first of all, you'd never have to buy a newspaper because, when word got out, once Sunbeam had it, the whole Cork had it.
The people came from working class areas, obviously. They were all indigenous places. They worked in Spangle Hill, as we used to call it then, Dublin Hill, Churchfield, Granabraher, around St Mary's Road, Ballyfihan. They were all people that lived and worked together. They drank together, they played football together, and they were genuinely very interested in one another, I thought. They were friendly to one another.
We all were great friends, and when we used to get paid on Friday, it was straight into town on Friday, buy a pair of tights, head off to the disco that night.
They were very happy people most of the time, and you could see it as well when they left work in the evenings. They would link hands and they'd start singing on the way home too. It wasn't false either. It was a genuine joy in working in the factory, I thought.
When they come out the gate in the evening at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, they'd be like a load of blue flies with the overalls, because that time there was about 1,200 people employed there when I was there.
And they would always travel in groups. There was never a single person, it was always groups.
Always groups. Yeah, you'd meet so many people there that you'd end up coming home with a group, going back with a group.
We actually used to be supplied with overalls. Our overalls would change every couple of years. I remember one time we got lovely grey trousers, and I think all the guys in Crosshaven for the holidays were wearing grey trousers. The girls would wear different coloured nylon overalls.
Oh, we had, I think, a light blue overall, there was a green overall, there was a wine overall, there was a navy overall.
So if anyone was off at their floor and they were in another part of the factory, you'd know what section they were, so they shouldn't be there. You could pick out a stranger on the floor, it's as simple as that.
There'd be lines, like you'd work in lines and machinists like all over lockers together and flat lockers, and we'd be singing across to them and they'd be singing across to us, and you know, now it comes to my mind, sure you're all a load of such a over there, sure you're all a load of such a over there, and then they'd shout back at us, sure you're all a load of, you're all a load of, and it'd go on then, and that was great then, and the time passed in so quickly.
And every night the whole floor would kneel and say the rosary. I mean the whole floor, like, say the rosary. We were very religious that time.
During Lent there was an awful lot of singing used to go on about hymns, the rosary and things like that. My main memory was the camaraderie we had amongst ourselves. The photograph is the mid-60s, Sunbeam Wolsey FC. Timmy Murphy, he was manager to Roy Keane when Roy played schoolboys at Rockmount. He used to call Roy his boilerman. That's Roy's father, Massey Keane. Paddy O'Connell. John Kearney, his father, I think it was a milkman, if I remember. Jim Marshall, related to Christy Marshall, was his father. Myself, Stephen Yelverton. I met my wife here. My father and mother worked here. My aunts and uncles-in-law. My wife's brother and his wife worked here.
Funny enough, like my mother actually met my father through the Sunbeam, through a dance that was on, but that was in the arcade maybe in the early 30s. There's a lot of people actually married their husbands from the Sunbeam, You could say that there was an awful lot of romance already started there, like.
He'd be up on top of the boxes looking in at me.
She was working in the next floor, so I used to be stacking the boxes, stacking the cardboard for the news cups up the ceiling high. And the lads would get like a mar inside. And I'd be waving in and she'd get,
It was scarlet.
The part of history inside with the job, I suppose I got a job and I got a wife and I had the one go. It's as simple as that. When you were in your teens, like we, I suppose, looking around, and I spotted my wife, I spotted her, and I tell the truth, I didn't have to ask her out. It's as simple as that, like. And I eventually got up to dinner to ask her out, like. I remember I asked her to go to the arcade with me. See, it was all dance halls that time, all the pictures. So I took a chance. I asked her would she go to the arcade and go dance with me, and she did.
Oh, everybody was sent for the bucket of steam, the long stand, the glass hammer, the glass anvil, and you would walk around the factory and everybody would send you further. They always send the fool further.
For a long stand.
A long stand.
Yeah. And you go down, that's usually now down to the dairy house, like, you know, and the men would be press the stockings, and they'd have them over the flat sort of leg. They'd be putting on the nylons, and someone would go down like and ask him for the long stand, and he'd leave it there, like, and they'd be putting on the nylons and pressing them.
And you'd be standing for a quarter of an hour, and you say, "Hey, get me the long stand." They said, "You've already had it." All these gimmicks that were on that period, it was all good sport.
I was called over and I was saying, I was asked would I go to another department and get a bucket of steam. Of course, I was young and naive, and I went and I asked the other crowd in the other area would they give me a bucket of steam. And of course I was hanging on, and they told me wait for the bucket of steam, and I think after about an hour I realised there was a joke played on me.
We had good times there, and we had tough times there.
Oh Jesus, I used to like working there at all. I was always late, and I was only down the road. And one time I got called up to the union, and the girl said, "Cora, come here. Sure, you could see your house from here. Come over and look out the window there. Look at your house there, and you're always late." Jesus, she said, and there's girls from the country there, and they're in at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I used to hate it. I used to hate going down.
I tell you something, it was no bit of cake to work there. We had to work. There was good workers came out of it. We had 4 ladies that, no, they weren't what you call now, it wasn't a concentration camp, but they did show us how to be good workers, and we gave quality and quantity.
For instance, my father and his generation would always leave for work very early in the mornings. They were always in work well before the starting time, and usually because they worked on shifts, they wanted to talk to the guy who was finishing the shift before them so that they could get into what was going on during the night or what needed to be done for the day's work. And they were very loyal people as well. And I think the Wales, as a family of employers, were quite loyal to them too.
We had great conditions, if you're honest, looking back on it, like. Well, I think there's 3 pence a week we used to pay, 3 odd pence. We used to call it the social service.
We had a fully contained dentist here. We had a doctor in attendance, we had a nurse, and we had a chemist shop. So that if you report sick, you could go to see the doctor. He would give you a prescription. You would go to the chemist, you'd get your prescription, and you got it for nothing. The whole thing was free.
And I suppose there was a reason for that too, like you missed no time for all these things.
There was also, we wanted the bats there to go over for the wash on the Thursday, coming from a large family. Like, it was great for me, like, because I was able to go over and have it, I didn't have to queue up at the door as long as what I would have at home.
That's right, the majority of our houses, we had no beds. None of us had showers in our rooms that time, like we were working class people.
There used to be a lady looking after you, would get your box of Vim and your cloth to wash down your shower, your bed afterwards.
And all we ever got was a towel and a bit of that great Cabalic soap. So that's how our skin is so good today.
These were all laid on, like, it was very well planned, like, the way the factory was, and it seemed to be geared for to satisfy the workers, as simple as that, like, not like today, like. There's a lot of breed going on today, like, they don't seem to be thinking of the workers that much today.
We went into liquidation on the 20th of April, 1990. And that was the end of the line.
It was sad, I tell the truth, like, to see all the people you worked with for years, like, and a lot of them never got re-employed.
I can't underestimate the effect that it had on families all over the city, not only just around Blackpool area and the immediate area here, but definitely had a huge impact on us as people who worked there.
And there was a lot in the families, sisters and brothers and mothers and fathers worked there. So even it could take up 3 and 4 and a member of a family that would bring in a wage there, so they were depending on the Sunbeam for an income.
It became the support for an awful lot of families locally, and it was a focal point for a lot of their lives. They had other things in their lives apart from work, but work was a very big part of that. And I think Sunbeam, the loss of Sunbeam, to my generation certainly, was huge, and you couldn't calculate how much it cost.
And it was very sad for us to know that The next generation told us that it was going to be very tough. No, we had it, but we hadn't as tough as what they had with their mortgages. And that was the saddest part of all, to see them going out that gate.
Nowhere else to go, it's as simple as that, like. Nowhere else to go after spending your lifetime there.
Well, I was in work in Bishopstown when I heard that there was a fire here. And on my way home, I came up over Blarney Street and I could see the pile of smoke.
It was about 2:10 I had a phone call from a friend of mine and who works out in the front. And he said like that it was a terrible explosion and that he believed that something was going up.
So I was on the bus and we were going home. They were saying, somebody said that, you know, the Sunbeam is on fire. And I just went, what? The Sunbeam, is it bad?
We thought that it was in the field up there. We thought it was a burnt out car or something. But we got really scared because it's really near my house. I just live over there.
I said to myself, well, this is not bonfire night, this is not June, so it couldn't be a fire, a bonfire. It was covered, the whole sky was covered in black smoke.
I was at school and it happened and I thought it was the Glen first, but it wasn't, it was the Sunbeam. And it turned into a small fire and then it caught on to the whole building.
Coming out to collect the kids from school, saw the smoke and ran down and just here was on fire. And when we came back, about 4 o'clock, the whole place was gone. Shocking.
The middle bit there, down there by the wall, there was a big bang and then the whole wall just collapsed.
I was up in the field now watching it go like bit by bit. All looking, they're all stunned looking at the fire.
Just looking at the moment there now, the 4th floor is still alight and the floor underneath was the actual floor where I worked as a machinist, and it's very, very sad to see it. Terrible.
Just to look at anyone's face, I was just standing there looking, everyone just was a part of that.
It's a very sad day for the north side now, that day. Because even when it was smouldering out, there was actually people going down looking, do you know?
Just to take a photograph, just to remember. The picture was gone. All was left was memories, and that's all we have today.
And looked down and it was very sad to see what was a very big part of my life and my family's life, going up in smoke, and I have to say it was a devastating blow to see it happen.
It was just actually gutted, and I tell the truth, I felt gutted at the time because there was a lot of people on the bus and they were saying it like, oh, it is terrible, oh my God, and the people there and the job losses again, of course.
I don't know, it was like losing something very close to you.
I have to say it's very sad, pretty devastating.
To look out the window now, like, I mean, the Sunbeam isn't there, 'tis gone. 'Tis finished, the Sunbeam is over.
'Tis a very sad event altogether because, I mean, at the end of the day, like Sunbeam itself, the building itself was a landmark in Cork, you know? And then the fact that there were so many thousands of people worked in and out of there.
Everyone in the north side, our mothers, Everyone, there was not a house in Farnry, I don't think, without someone worked in the Sunbeam.
You know, everyone had some history.
And you could just get up in the morning, you could point it out. Anyone that lived on the north side of the city would point it out to their daughters or sons and say, you walk there. Just point, I walk there, that's the Sunbeam. I walked on the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor, whatever the case.
We worked there when we were only 13. Did any be 13?
Not me.
No. Are you 13? Yeah.
Yeah, she's 13.
I was your age now when I was sitting out there on a machinist.
Well, when you wake up for the last 32 years, you come out your door every morning and that's in front of you, it's gone. In the space of a few hours since 1:30 today, gone.
I can hear people laughing and singing. It was great, absolutely marvellous. I loved every minute of it. And at the same time, life goes on and you get on with what needs to be done now. So things change always. It's always in change.